events together, and George and the team were talking about what were the topics of conversation. One of the things that we wanted to address were different areas of the DJ life. So we're going to have an opportunity momentarily to introduce someone who is in the event planning business. Mayra's her name. Hey, Mayra.
Hi.
All right. We're going to talk a little bit about do's and don'ts when we're working with event planners. What are some of the pitfalls as DJs that we tend to fall into? What are the things that we should do in order to make both of our lives easier as we're working events? We also have to my left, gentleman by the name of Alexander Rodriguez, right? You are Alex. You are A-Rod.
I am.
Okay. I saw that. I'm like, he's really Alex Rodriguez. All right, so Alex Rodriguez is representing a company called Oh My Gosh Photo Booths, and we're going to talk a little bit about what he does, what offers he brings to the marketplace. Again, we can both team up. Then DJ Scorpio. Not here yet?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry, dude. I didn't see you. He'll also be talking a little bit about how to better promote yourself, what are the do's and don'ts in the industries, and more importantly, how to be a better DJ. And it'll be kind of a general open Q&A, and then we'll finish tonight close to 9 o'clock. So does that sound like a pretty good agenda?
Yep.
All right, cool. So, as we start out the first part of our presentation today, Mayra, I would like to call you up at this point. I'm going to let Mayra introduce herself because I'm going to screw up her name. I do that often, although you're not supposed to do that when you're working events. So Mayra, would you mind introducing yourself, and then we'll kind of go through some Q&A?
Sure. My name is Mayra Quintero, and the company name is Mayra's Personal Touch Catering and Event Planning. I've been doing this for 13 years, and I'm sorry guys, I'm kind of camera shy.
Camera shy, all right.
I usually speak to the client. I'm not in a setting like this, but I want to thank everybody for letting me be here tonight. And I don't know what kind of questions you have for me.
All right, so we're going to make this more comfortable for you. Can you bring 2 chairs up here? We're going to make this more like a consultation instead of you standing up and presenting to our crowd. All right.
On the fly production.
Absolutely. So this is
Another
the
part
way
of
it goes.
what needs to
So
go.
Mayra, if you don't mind taking the seat.
Alex.
Yes, sir.
Go.
Thank you. So, Mayra, one of the things that we wanted to kind of have a conversation around would be when you engage a DJ, you're working at an event. Tell us kind of, if you had 3 things that you would love your ideal DJ to bring to the table, what would those 3 things be?
Well, definitely time is of the essence. So punctuality, and have a personality, because that's what's going to bring your party. And you're trying to get along with me.
Let me, that's all right, go ahead.
But no, I mean, I'm easy to get along, but I know some other event planners are not. And so that's basically it.
So let's take that last point, because that last point is critical. Getting along with you. Let's say that we're in the middle of it. I mean, George and I were talking about this about 2 weeks ago. We're in the middle of an event. Something doesn't go exactly the way it was planned.
Never does.
Never does, right? The unexpected is the expected in one of our events. For those that have been DJing here for a long time, know this. So as things, I don't want to say fall apart, but let's just say change from what we had planned. One of the comments made is, hey, listen, be flexible, be nice, be understanding. Would you arguably say that that makes the difference between an amateur DJ and a pro DJ?
Yes, definitely. Because if you know what you're doing and you have the patience and you know that connection with your event planner, nobody else needs to know what's going on. Only you and I knows what's going on. And the bride or the client or whichever it is, anniversary, they're not going to know what's going on. We do. And we have to be calm, cool, and collected like nothing happened. Like sometimes we get Brazillas, you know what those are about. And yeah, so basically.
So I mean, thank you. I think one of the important things that you mentioned as well is no one knows the agenda typically except 3 people. The captain that's serving, the event planner, and the DJ. So if something goes wrong, there's only 3 people that need to know about it. Everybody else doesn't know about it. And one of the things that you mentioned, I think it's very important, is how you carry yourself. There could be a massive catastrophe happening in the background, and if you're all smiles and, as you say, very pleasant, no one knows. And we've had an event we were talking about before when we were getting ready. I had somebody tip over the wedding cake. The wedding cake was basically destroyed. We were about to cut the wedding cake. We ended up inventing, ad-libbing something. It ended up being a memorable part of their wedding. But again, it was all about keeping composure. And that, again, is one of the things that we work together as a team to ensure that for clients go well. Let me ask you something about music and music selection. When you're doing some of the event planning for clients, and I know us as DJs, we sit down, interview clients, what would your recommendation be in terms of how we approach clients about music and music selection?
Well, usually, to start out, I was talking to one of the DJs. I usually have my own contract. And then, like, for instance, you do your own contract with my client. And then we all meet up and we talk about the timeline and things like that. I don't like to do it all inclusive because it gets kind of complicated. I know some planners do want to do it that way, but I definitely don't do it that way at all. So your question was, I'm sorry.
Regarding music selection.
The selection. So the selection, it all depends what kind of party we're talking about. It could be a 70-year-old person. It makes a difference. Quinceañera, sweet 16, 40th anniversary, wedding. It all makes a difference in the kind of selection you want. So you have to actually talk to the client. I don't get involved in that. I try not to because that's not your discussion with my client is whatever she wants or he wants is what we want to do. So you have to play it out and give a suggestion of what you think for that party, whatever it is, whether it's a theme party because it makes a difference. Client of yours tell you, okay, well that's a good idea. Okay, let's do this, that kind of thing, and then you all kind of work out. That's the way I think it's best.
Now, that brings up an interesting question. And guys, we're going to open it up to the floor here in a moment. There's a philosophical argument that goes around the group that you see here, and that is presentation. Some DJs will tell you, I'm not advocating saying pro or con, I'm just making a point. Some DJs will tell you, yeah, I'm going to put the cables the best I can, and that's great. I'm going to worry about the music, and if the music is great, no one will see the cables. Others will tell you, your cabling and your presentation is just as important as your music selection. What's your opinion?
Definitely. Presentation, it's a must. The way you depending, because some people dress up like, you look great like that. If your client wants you to be that way, that's fine. But sometimes you want to, if it's a wedding, you want to have a tie. And cable, the presentation is the key. No cables, nothing like that. I definitely agree. Yes, because if there's, let's say, a 70-year-old trip, then who's going to be responsible for that? I might be responsible for that. Maybe the venue. It all depends how the contract is made. But no, yeah.
So there's a liability aspect. Yeah. Totally agree with you. There's another aspect as well. Photographers that are taking pictures, something that we don't think about. If you have an awful presentation, it's coming out in every background picture that you take. So that represents several people, right? It represents the DJ, the photographer, the venue, and even the event planner to a certain respect, right? This is the way they represent themselves. So, wonderful, wonderful questions and answers. Any questions from the audience at this point? Please, I'll walk over.
When you initiate contact with the DJ, what's your mindset? Defensive, offensive, open-minded? Because what we see is we have a lot of party planners that are on the offensive up front and says, come through me. I'm controlling this event.
Yes, I know. I've heard of that. And no, I'm not like that at all. I don't do that. That's what I was just telling him. I let the DJ talk. I put them together. Then they connect via, phone or email, and then we all communicate at one point or another. Okay, this is the timeline. This is what we're gonna do because it's important to me because I also do catering. So I gotta talk to you, make sure that if we're running a little late, you don't start, with whatever the presentation is. So yeah, the timeline is important and to work as a team, yes.
Okay. Scorpio, you got a question?
Yes.
Comment.
How you doing? Quick question. So the main thing that I think a lot of the DJs are looking for is, how do we become somebody part of your team? You obviously have a roster of DJs, and you're looking for particular things for you to be able to supply your clients with. And you're gonna push your clients to say, hey, I know a really good team of DJs, I know a really good team of photographers, videographers, etc. What is it that you're looking for in order to get a DJ to be on your team or your roster or somebody on your preferred vendors list?
Well, personality, for me to get along with you would be, I like to meet everybody one-on-one. So, and I want to see how, I like to see how you work as your profession. Whether it all depends too, if you like to do more kid stuff or more weddings. Everybody's got their niche. So to be on my roster, it doesn't really matter. I'm not looking for anybody specific. I'm just looking for somebody professional and that can give me, and not me mainly, but my clients. So if my clients is happy with you, they're going to be happy with me. So that's really what I'm going to say. Sorry.
So with that, reviews, positive, negative.
Yeah.
After the event's over, what are some of the most positive things that people say? And then I'm going to follow that up with what are some of the most negative things that your clients tell you about a DJ or, yeah, let's talk about just the music part of the event. Like on the positive side, what are the positive comments you hear?
Okay. I guess I know a lot of the good DJs because I hardly get any negative remarks. But I have done bad remarks when that DJ, for whatever reason, it's going to happen to anybody here, gets hurt, gets in an accident, can't be, and I already booked you, and you send me somebody else. Well, that somebody else already has talked to you, and you have told them, look, specifically, you got to play, this is a playlist, you got to play this, and then they show up, and they start playing all this kind of like reggaeton, that's not something that they want. And then later on, they come to me and they say, listen, this DJ is not doing what I asked. I'm telling him to stop playing those songs. We want more American music, but he keeps playing that. He keeps playing what he wants and not what I want. So that's the only problem I have, really.
I would say that's a common no-no. A lot of guys just get into their own zone, their own thing. They're not in the moment, looking at the crowd, looking at the client's wishes and making their vision a reality. But okay, so that's great that you have very few negative reviews. That's what we're all looking for. But on the positive, on the back end, when they say nice things, what do they say? Like, what do they tell you specifically? So-and-so DJ was?
Very personable, easy to get along with, and he played great music. He played specifically what we wanted, and he was on time, and he looked very professional.
Quick question.
Rob Book.
Yeah. How do you guys feel about like when a client asks for like the music has dirty words? Like a lot of the new radio music right now, a lot of the new hip hop, obviously on the radio they don't put curse words. I've got a client right now, they're like, let it ride, and I mean, they've even the event coordinators like, this is gonna be crazy, and I'm like, because you're still representing yourself. It's a place where, there's a lot of people.
Well,
how do you take that? I've done both gigs where gigs,
there's
yeah.
kids involved.
Yeah.
That's the only thing. I wouldn't want to do it if kids are involved. If there's adults, yeah, and that's what your client wants, fine.
Just let it go.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes I have to listen to this music I don't want to listen, but that's what they want.
That's what they're, yeah, I mean, Miko.
Huh?
Hold on.
You're representing yourself.
Yeah.
So you have 300 people.
You have 300 people there, and they're listening to you. And they're going to say, I'm not going to hire this guy ever again. Or nobody will hire him because he's going to play the dirty music. And I personally do not play that kind of music.
Well, the thing is, I mean, are you telling me that your client wants you to play this?
Yeah.
What, I mean, you mind telling me age-wise what we're talking about?
So
The party, it's at
He's in general, right? You don't represent, you don't.
I mean, you're trying to please the client, but at the same time,
Right.
You're trying to represent yourself.
Like I'm probably still gonna play some of those radio edits, but
When you do weddings,
some of the songs have a certain verse, they're gonna be like, I told you to play the dirty.
I have a comment. I have a comment.
Hold on. So everybody all at once doesn't work, so let's pass the mic.
I mean, just to touch base, because she was a little confused, but I mean, I understand your point, I understand his point. Being in the industry for 25 years, I've had both sides of the spectrum, where I've had the bride and the groom that want the dirty hip hop. That's a choice as a DJ or a company that you have to make. And that's kind of where the interview process comes into effect, where you ask them these questions. What's your music going to be? What do you want? What's the feel of your... Before you even accept the job or give them the price. I've turned down events where, you know, I was actually talking to Alex, where clients have been like, this is the list, and I don't want to be, you know, this is the order of the music, and this is how I want to play like a jukebox. I'm not your DJ, you know, and I've actually turned events away, because that's not me, that's not the way I play. And same thing, I mean, I've had clients that come up, if it's a wedding, and that's what they want, I've done it, and I'll play it. If it's a Kingston or Sweet 16, then it gets a little bit more, you know, so you kind of gotta, you know, take it as if you don't feel comfortable, you don't have to accept the event, you know, and that's kind of where I think, and part of that is educating your clients as well, you know, educate them. You'd be surprised once you start talking to them and letting them know how you feel about that, and their guests, how they might feel. You know, another option, another thing you got to take into consideration is where they're doing their event. If they're doing their event at a hotel or at a location where you're a preferred vendor at, that might tarnish your reputation as well with the venue. So there's a lot of elements that go into play with that.
George.
Oh, excuse me. Yeah. No, what I was saying was that Tony stole my thunder, because you pre-qualify them, and if you feel very strongly that you don't want to play music with bad words, then you have the right to do so. But that the time to find that out is at pre-qualification when you're talking to them, not at a party. If you're at a party and they tell you we want bad words, at the end of the day they're the ones paying you. You know, I try to make my customers happy, and then after that, then I try to make referrals. But first and foremost, to me as a customer, and if I fail to ask the right questions, and I'm put in a predicament where I gotta deliver, then I gotta deliver. Just like you were saying, stuff happens at a party. You first gotta make that party a success, and then worry about the rest later. So, you know.
If I may, guest that you mentioned, that is key. Your guest. What are your guests gonna like? I know you like this. I know you got these songs right off your iPod, off your Spotify, your favorite. But are your guests gonna like this music? Have you thought about the demographic mix that's coming? The age groups, the backgrounds. What do they like? Will they like this? We're good. Do you want me to only stay with this, or if it's working or not? During the interview process, you know what you're doing. You're a veteran guy, so. But that like is key, and I think we're becoming more like jukeboxes because of these playlists that people are giving. Mayra, a lot of times we're just putting the puzzle together, the best puzzle pieces that they gave us in the best possible way. That's where the experience comes in of putting, your style, but also the guests that are there. For example, say like the older people usually don't hang till the end, and then a lot of younger people can get into old school music, but not vice versa. Yeah, you might have the hip grandma or mom or aunt or something that gets out there, jam into the newest music, but usually no, it's usually the younger people get into older music, so why not start out with older music to appeal to as many people as possible? As an example, that people don't think about their guests enough, I don't think.
A couple of different things as we kind of wrap up this section of our event. One piece to wrap up the piece of bad music, curse music, adult music, 21 and over music. About a year and a half ago, I was working at a event in Coral Gables, and one of the police officers came over. True story, there's a statute in the state of Florida that says if you are playing explicit lyrics, this is the Two Live Crew law for those that are familiar with it, and you're not taking IDs in the front, and everyone in that crowd is not 21 and over, they can actually arrest the artist for playing explicit music to minors. So now that's a very strong interpretation of the law, right? And in a private event, It's different. However, there is even legal precedence for explicit lyrics in a public forum. I tend to take the more conservative approach. If I know that everyone there's 21 and over, it's a different conversation. If there's even a hint that there might be a minor there, it's off the table for me. Won't play explicit lyrics. Not on purpose anyways, right? So, Mayra, one thing as we wrap up our presentation today, you mentioned something to me as AJ was speaking about payment. As parties move on and people tend to be alcoholically enhanced, it becomes a tad bit difficult to negotiate anything, much less have a conversation. What would be your opinion about anything that has to do with extension of time or payments for a client?
Well,
Sorry.
I forgot.
What's happening?
Well, the reason why I'm gonna say that is because it's happened where everybody is at the end of the evening, bride, groom, and then the DJ, yes, he got partial payment, but then he needs his other, the balance. Well, it's happened where the DJ does not get his payment. Sometimes I haven't gotten my payment, and you're trying that evening to try and get the client to pay you or somebody that has an envelope with the payment because, you know, sometimes they give it to me, but in this one occasion, it wasn't given to me. It was supposed to be given directly to the DJ. And, well, up to this day, the DJ has not been paid for his last payment. So my suggestion is that I don't care what, you get your payment before, and you talk about this when you are meeting with your client. And I would suggest cashier's check or money order or cash, the last payment. No credit card, no checks, because they can be bounced. And that's my suggestion, because I feel bad for you and I feel bad for myself that what happens. And not only that, not just because they might be drunk at the end of the evening, it's also they might give you a bad check. It's happened to me. It's happened to me where I had to take them to small claims, and then they ended up paying me my attorney's fees and all the late fees.
I mean, this is something very important, right? Payment to us is an important thing. I mean, a general rule of thumb would be before you play your first track, they've absolutely paid the balance that's due. Now, extensions of time is a little bit different. Most DJs have different concepts on how to collect that payment. If you're going to extend by an hour, for example, some DJs will tell you, listen, an hour and a half before you're going to extend, I have to be paid. If not, I will not extend the hour.
Well, why don't you, on your conversation, your first meeting, why don't you explain that?
And you know, Tony, you brought that up. Setting the expectations should be part of the contract. Exactly, and it's about setting expectations as you work with these different clients.
Right.
But I think it's a great point. I mean, as people go through the party, they're having a good time, they have 40 drinks, or 4, or whatever. 40, that's a little excessive.
They're dead.
That's a
They're
great
dead.
party. You're not remembering anything.
Best DJ.
One of the things, real good DJ. Good or bad, they want to remember or forget you. But the reality is, you know, payment's an important part of our business. Any other questions here as we wrap up the first one? Yes, Ray. Ray, then we'll come to Alex.
Go.
So, first of all, thank you for enjoying the time with us.
Oh, thank you.
My question, you as a planner, how do you decide which DJ would be best for the event that you need a DJ for, or that you would recommend the client to?
Well, I know a DJ that they have, not including you, because I never met you guys, but I have a DJ that has a big company, and he's got like 10 different DJs that work for him. So basically, I call him, and I have met most of their guys, and I know which one to pick, because one of them, you know, has a great attitude, and he moves people into the dance floor, and he speaks Spanish and English, so sometimes that's very important. I guess, and then if it's a sweet 16 or 15, it's the same thing. The way I would pick them is depending on the theme, depending on their personality. If it's a 70-year-old party, maybe those people are more low-key, so I would get that person that's more low-key, and, you know, and I want to give that person, the DJ, also a party that he wants to do. He might not want to do a 7-year-old party. He might want to do a younger 21-year-old party. I don't know, you know. So I kind of have an idea already when I pick them, and also because they've done a great job for me. That's the way I pick them too. And of course, if one's busy and the other one's not busy, then I have to go with that person. So just basically, that's how I pick the person for that event.
Thank you, Mayra. Alex, one few words.
Yes, thank you for coming, by the way.
Thank you.
And, oh, thanks. You just described to us how you pick the DJs. Do you ever pick the DJs according to price and their fees?
Yes, that's a good question. Yes, I'm sorry. That's one thing too, because depends on the client.
And a second question, just so you can also answer this.
Yeah.
We know that brides will pay $1,000 for a cake. They'll pay $1,000 for something else. But when you tell them what a DJ charges, let's say that it's not the 10 people that you use normally, an individual DJ, how does the bride decide, or the event decide, if their investment in that DJ, because as far as they're concerned, a DJ just is a guy with speakers and plays music, correct? What gives the DJ worth? What can you say to a client, and this is where the party planner is very important, to a client that's selling a DJ? How would you sell a DJ, and what are they looking for in a DJ? They say, yeah, instead of paying the $400, I can pay this guy $800 because he's worth it. Why?
Well, we were talking before presentation. You just don't want a DJ to go sit up. I mean, depending on the party too, depending on that client. You know, you're gonna get what you pay for. And if it's a small little party and they don't want to invest a lot of money, then I go to this DJ that's less, that maybe it's been in 3-year business, that's only plays a few lists, only, you know, and my clients mind that. And you have to tell them that up front. But then, like some of you, for that person, for me to tell that person, look, this DJ has all this inclusive, and that's all for that price. You know, he's done a lot of great jobs for me, and this is who I recommend.
So basically, you have to see them before.
Well,
you have to work with them.
Also, yeah, no, but also the client also has to meet with the DJ, has to see them, has to see how they get along, you know, personality-wise. Do they click? Is he talking too much and giving me too many suggestions and not letting me talk? You know, it's a click, I guess.
When do they pay more?
Huh?
Would they pay more for
When
a
do they pay
DJ,
more?
for a particular DJ?
Well, they would pay more if it's a bar mitzvah or a big event, weddings.
But never based on the individual DJ. That doesn't come into play?
Oh, yeah, it does. It does. Sometimes not. Now, listen. I had this wedding that this girl, she did it all wrong. But she had a DJ and she had a band and very little food. Okay? Food is important. DJ, band, yes, all is important. But the DJ would take place after the band would take a break. And I bet you anything, I don't know what the cost was because I didn't do that. I bet you anything, she spent more on that band, because it was a 5-piece band, than she paid for the whole party.
Sure.
And I think that was wrong. You know, I think that there has to be, a DJ is important because he's going to make your party. He's going to be that person there. And the food too, you know, makes a big difference.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, Mayra, your insights have been absolutely very interesting.
I'm glad to help. Thank you.
If you wouldn't mind, what is your website for these gentlemen here that are out in the crowd if they would want to see some more information from your company?
Okay, it's www.mayra.com. And I'm also on Facebook. So if you just go type on Facebook Mayra's Catering, Mayra's Personal Touch Catering, I'm there. That's it.
So was this a little better than just presenting to everybody? All right, let's go ahead and put your hands over the time for Mayra. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we have the Pioneer Raffle before we call Alex Rodriguez to come up. And we will be pulling a name out of a proverbial hat, although we do have a hat. Alex has a hat over there, and I saw you with it. All right, so Andrew, how are we going to do this?
We've got all of the names numbered, so we've got a random number generator.
All right, we got a random number generator.
We have 5.
We have 5 winners that are going to come out here.
For our Constantly Pride, we've got a Pioneer.
Hey, my love, it's me.
Allen keys, screwdrivers, things like that.
All right, cool.
Let's
Interview. We're not.
number.
Yeah, that was just a. That's a.
For Ivan Romero.
Ivan.
There we go.
There we go.
Yeah, that Alex.
Gil Eddie.
No, that's not her. That's not her.
There you go. Now everybody knows who we are.
I don't know. They brought her here. No, of course. But there's a party ball. Okay. No.
Alex Lopez.
That's me.
Yeah.
I didn't read it.
We got woman and her sister.
Really, it wasn't rigged. I saw him filling it in there. I know y'all never going to believe me. I'm from Miami. That's all good. That's that guy right there. Casper has left the building.
Mayra Quintero.
There we go.
There you go. Congratulations. And is that all 5 of them? All right, ladies and gentlemen, now for the grand prize raffle. Thank you again to the South Florida DJ Association for coming and bringing everybody together today. There we go. We've got a pair of our HRM5 studio reference monitors. And our lucky winner today is AJ.
That was somewhat, it was not rigged. I saw it. I've been monitoring. It's absolutely true. Congratulations. Everybody put your hands together for our grand prize winner, Mr. AJ. Thank you once again to Sam Ash and Pioneer for your wonderful words. We appreciate the support to all the DJs that are out there. I can't believe you won. I can't believe it. Not that I'm not happy for you, I just can't believe you won.
Because that's the second thing of value I've won in a while. Last thing was a Jack Daniels, Frank Sinatra. I went to this tasting with Vicky. A Jack Daniels special edition Sinatra bourbon. It's still sitting at home. I'm not a big bourbon drinker. And valued at about $150. That's okay. I don't mind. I don't drink at gigs. Ever.
All right, everybody.
Thank you.
Before we call the next presenter, George, if you wouldn't mind coming up and saying a few words, we appreciate it. Ladies and gentlemen, DJ George.
Guys, thank you first of all for coming. I know today is a Tuesday. Everybody has lives. You guys are busy. You guys family, and you guys are here with us. So thank you very much for making time to be here with us. Before we proceed, I wanted to say thank you to Steve Toro. Steve, say hello, Steve. Everybody turn around and say hi to Steve. Steve is our point of contact here at the store at Sam Ash. Before we had Hermes in Miami Lakes, in Dolphin Mall. And unfortunately, Hermes, moved on. He went somewhere else, and we kind of lost a little contact at that store. But I want you guys to know that we have a very good relationship with Sam Ash overall. And we've not only spoken to the general managers at Dolphin Mall, which is Mike B, but I already had a standing relationship with Steve Toro here in Miami Lakes and other district managers. So the SFDJA is actually more powerful than you guys think. We are a very, very, very strong force in the South Florida DJ industry. One of the things that I want to mention is they're going to be extending discounts for everyone in the group for the SFDJA. So when you guys need any equipment, any consultation, instruments, what have you, accessories, you guys know you guys can come here and you guys can call Steve and tell him you guys are with the SFDJA and they're going to take care of you, right? Just like Ernest did, he's our new Ernest, new and improved. Look, he's even got a belly. But mine's bigger. Yeah. And by the way, I want to say somebody cheated because Ricky was number 9, and then he was going to hand the paper to me,
and I was gonna be number 10. But then AJ took the paper and he filled out his name. So I'm just saying, AJ, right? Whatever. I'm not gonna, whatever. Listen, I'll give you $100 right now.
Listen, guys, don't forget, May 12th, we're going to have our next SAM session here. If you guys want to participate, I would like to say that if you guys are here, you have first dibs to participate, right? I think that would be fair. You guys made the time to be here. So if you guys want to participate on our next SAM session, that's May 12th. It's a lot of fun because you get to spin in front of other DJs, and you know, we get to critique you, and you know, it's all in good faith, you know. And my plan is to have this at least every 2 to 3 months, keep it going, you know, at least another one of these meetings, and we'll have another factory rep here talking about other equipment, and hopefully, you know, we can answer questions that you guys have as far as the industry is concerned, equipment. Maybe you guys are thinking of upgrading or anything. So it's good to always be up to date with the new technology and the new equipment that's coming out. So you guys already know about May 12th. You guys already know that he stole my headphones. Just, you know, if you guys don't... So if you guys, so you know, if these are mine. Listen, when we go outside, para que tú veas.
Just the luck of the draw. You could have been number 11.
I'm just saying, my wallet's here. This fanny pack is not here to carry my wallet. You know? But guys, again, thank you for coming. And with that, I leave you with A-Rod.
There you go. Test. Test. Does it work? No testing? No. I'll use this one. 1, 2, 3. I haven't checked the board. Make sure you're not muted.
Come on. There we go. This is what you guys do, right?
All right, so before we get started, because this is a team and family environment, I know it's not the headsets, but I got I'll give you my tool set. I love you, bro. Eso jodedera a nosotros. He was literally going to sign it before AJ did. I saw it. Pero listen. So the next section of our presentation is a little bit deviating from the norm of the DJ stuff that we work with every single day. And I'm going to have a hard time calling you Alex Rodriguez, just to know that. So
I get that all the time.
Where's J-Lo?
So
who's she with?
Who's the baby?
So Alex and I were talking about the business a little bit. Now I have a little bit of experience with photography. I've been working with this industry now. And we wanted to bring Alex in to talk about photo booths. If you've been working a lot of events in the last, I would say, year and a half, maybe 2 to 3 years, you're starting to see photo booths very, very popular in just about every event. You're starting to see them, you used to see them a lot in 15s, and I'm curious to hear your thoughts.
Right.
Now you're seeing them in 15s, weddings, corporate events, you name it.
60-year-old birthday parties.
No kidding. So you see them everywhere.
What do you call that? Gender?
Oh, gender reveals.
Gender reveal?
Yeah, the gender reveals for the video.
Yeah.
Wait, I was like, wait, Caitlin what? No.
Not that one. It's
Not
for
that
babies.
one. Yeah.
Hey. So we wanted to hear a little bit about your perspective of the business. We'd like to talk to you about when you consult with clients, what is it exactly that you talk to clients about? And then we want to talk to you about, as DJs, we can really talk about referrals both ways, right?
Right.
Because we're meeting with clients, you're meeting with clients. Ultimately, you will hear, hey, do you know a good DJ? Or ultimately, we'll hear, hey, do you know a good photographer? I hear this all the time. And a lot of us in this room do word-of-mouth referrals.
Right.
I'm curious to hear your thoughts. If we could start, tell us a little bit about photo booths, tell us a little bit about the industry, kind of what works, and what are the things that you look for a potential client?
Okay, so simple, photo booths, like you said, are pretty new. My wife and I were actually photographers for 10 years now, so we have a separate business. But in Vegas, we went ahead and we noticed that there was a bunch of lines of different photo booths. So we said, let's buy one. And we went ahead and we bought one last year. April 28 makes 1 year that I've actually owned the business, and I already paid it off. So it's definitely a good investment, and it's very popular now. So
how would you differentiate, for example, the photo booth setup that we have here to my left, to the stage right, versus others that are out in the industry? You know, what's different? What makes them better? What makes
Well,
them
this
inferior?
is considered in what they call an open air style photo booth. So you could fit as many people as you potentially can. The more you put it back, the wider the background gets, the more people you could fit. I fit up to 15 heads, but that's good for them. Versus the box, where you could fit up to maybe 2, 3, squeeze in 4 if you can, you know. And that's sort of going towards the traditional, towards the new modern style of open air style photo booth, which is what's mostly popular now.
So one of the things I've noticed in the newer style photo booths is the integration to social media.
Yes.
So I take a picture, I immediately post it to Twitter, Instagram, Facebook.
You could do that right now.
So typically, when a client engages you and says, hey, listen, I want to be able to do that, is that something that you bring? Is that like a wireless connection you go into the network? How does that work?
You can tether it into your phone. I do bring in my own Verizon, you know, or a hotspot, wherever. Depends, because they're not always the best. So I carry my phone, which is T-Mobile. I carry Karma, which is Sprint. And I carry a Verizon hotspot, all three, just in case where I'm at. And whichever one I use the quickest, you know. But yes, we could do anywhere from Facebook, Twitter, text message, which has an actual link, which you could write whatever you want. Hashtags are very popular now, so the client wants their own hashtag, you know, OG40, whatever. You know, I just did a 40-year-old birthday party. They did a Jack Daniels or, you know, Black Label. So, you know, it's really neat that you could actually do all that. You could do anywhere from Pinterest, probably a couple more that I don't even know in the software. Yeah.
So one of the things as DJs that we consistently work on is, for example, I'll take myself as an example. I have what I call very simplistic lighting. I will typically subcontract a lighting company like maybe Tony or someone else within the group to be able to supply the larger rigs and setups. When I think about photo booths, they go hand in hand, as you said, with photographers. Do you find that they will contract you separately from a photographer, or does it usually come as a bundle?
The reason why I opened up the business as OMG Miami Booth, and my company is called Hazel R Photographers. I did my own plug-in, by the way. Thank you.
Well done.
So the reason why we did that was just in case a bride does not want to hire us as photographers versus price-wise, or a previous person might have said, well, no, go with this particular vendor. They just look us up either through Google or whatever and say, oh, here's OMG. They don't need to know that at the end, you know, it's still, I had a sister company of photography. I run the own business. At the end of the day, it's all OMG, and that's all they know about. And so it is, you know, if I don't make money one way, I make it the other. That's the whole point.
I mean, and you find that a lot. There's ongoing relationships with photographers in particular, that family has had that photographer for X amount of years, and they don't want to necessarily break that, but either the photographer doesn't offer photo booth, or this is something, which is very, very real. It's a relatively new industry. And the second half is, listen, I want somebody who's reputable, new gear, new technology, likes your setup, but doesn't necessarily want to go with their traditional photographer. Let's talk about engagement. Let's say you've got a room full of people here, and we go out, and there's a client that solicits us, and they recommend you. Is there a referral fee, a commission fee for them referring you guys? How would you work that?
So I usually charge $800 for a 4-hour unlimited printing service with a photo booth. Now, that's standard wherever you go in this particular style of photo booth. I will go ahead and say to whichever vendor, I'll go ahead and I'll do $650. You could deal with the client and upscale and mark up whatever you want, either $800 the same, or if you want to give them more. Sometimes the vendor comes back to me and says, hey, so the client wants TVs and they want the pictures gone from the photo booth directly to the TV. I could do that. You guys provide the TV. Now all of a sudden we have another deal going. Or, you know, a projector. I could provide a projector, or the DJ could provide a projector. And we could always work hand in hand. But yeah, usually, you know, you could easily make about $150 for yourself on top of that.
Yeah, and this is one of those things, right? When we start adding up and marking up within our product line, where we can make some of the lost revenue that we may have discounted to a client, we bring in a partner, in this case would be OMG, be able to go to the marketplace and be able to now give a better offer. And going back to Mayra, something you said a while back, bundling together services makes you a better service provider as a DJ or anyone in this field, right? It makes you different, right? One question I have for you, and I'm dying to ask you this because this is going to sound silly, but I've seen it make a difference. Props.
Sure.
Props for photo booths seem to be very popular. How do you put together the props that you use? How do you stay on top of it? Is it something you ask your client? How does that work out?
If I get to work with the client directly, usually I do a lot of questionnaires in front of him, and I ask the client, what do they like? Sometimes they want something customized, or then I upscale my price, and I get them custom props. So depending on, I did an old Western, I want to say like a somewhat Western wedding, and they actually got married back in the farm, and it was really cool. So I went out of my way and spent a little bit more money for the client, and I got them custom props. I got them ropes, guns, old Western style stuff, but they loved it. So literally right there at the wedding, one of the maid of honors or best friends, they had booked me. And they said, oh, by the way, this is your next client that's already next year. They literally booked me a year in advance already. So their wedding's coming up now in September. And it was wonderful, just knowing that I could customize something for them specifically. But if not, you have to have good props. A lot of people have paper props, so they tend to break. You can't control always the crowd. We try to always say, hey, no drinks on the table. Or we'll tell the vendor or whoever's nearby, please give us a separate table next to the booth so we could put our drinks, or your guests could put their drinks, and that way they could enjoy the photo booth without having any mess.
And again, going back to a point that we made before, it's about presentation, it's about being able to engage the client.
Right.
It's also about being able to meet and surpass their expectations. Any questions from our audience here, as we've had Alex here speaking here for a few moments. Be right there.
I am Frank from West Palm Beach.
Hey, Frank.
I know there's a cost involved in the
How's your 12?
printing. Huh?
How's your 12?
My 12?
Your T-shirt.
Right here. What's the average cost for say a wedding for unlimited printing? Whatever.
So pretty much is what I said. So 3 hours is a price about $650. Okay, 4 hours is $800. And then I have a top package for $1,400. Now the reason why I have that top package is because you have the wild card client that wants to impress their fiance, and they'll go with that top package. And I do a custom album because we are photographers as well. I know an album company that I can do a custom album instead of the photo sticky, cheap, pictures that come out of there. Even though it's a good quality print and you'll get good quality prints, we don't just do strips, by the way, we also do 4x6s, which all you guys could enjoy the photo booth at the end of this. But, that's where my prices are, at least at the moment.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Any other questions? George had to be in the polar opposite side of the group.
I'm George, by the way. Let me ask you a question. I saw there was a documentary about electronics and photo booths, and I know that photo booths can get very elaborate, where you have an interactive screen where the people can choose their background and everything. I know that's more money. But one of the things that caught my attention, and I would not invest in a photo booth only because I'm already a DJ and I've already invested enough equipment for now on my equipment because I'm constantly.
It's a lot to lag around, by the way.
Listen, I'm a compulsive equipment buyer, and I admit it. My wife hates it. I don't know if the same thing applies to you guys. But one of the things that I saw is that see how you upload your pictures to Facebook and Instagram and all these other social media.
Right.
There's some people now that they're uploading their pictures for free, but to their own servers. So people can see them online for free. However, if you want to get the picture, you would have to buy it.
You can.
Now, that service is kind of good because it generates more revenue for you as a photo booth.
Correct.
So I don't know if you had that or.
I do that as well.
Yeah.
So besides Facebook, it all depends on the client. And I've gone to a lot of different, seminars or whatever you guys want to, trade shows. And, you guys have to realize that it's all about the millennials. So the millennials are the educated young guys that take their time to make decisions. They are very well educated and, have good jobs, so they know that they're going to bargain on a price. And, they're all tech savvy, all of them. So you have to have whatever they want. Now, we invested in a photo booth that does everything when it comes to all the social media, but on top of that, for all your guests that are not tech savvy, I do have a server. It says it on my picture when it prints. Find your images at omg. Whatever. And then, yes, you could go there depending on the client. I give them the capability of, here's a pin, 4-digit pin. They could download all the images for free because they already invested with me. But all your guests, if you don't give them the pin to download the images, they could see them. They could snap it however they want because people steal your stuff all the time. Or they could purchase it if they want a high quality printout. Yeah. But yes, I do have a server and they do print.
And by the way, it's very good that you said that you give multiple prices, because I don't know if you guys knew this, but I also do sales training and technical training for in another industry. And one of the things that you're taught is you want to always give several prices of your own so that the customer chooses between your price and your price, whichever one they'll want to choose, instead of comparing your price to another vendor.
Sure.
So it's always a good idea to always give multiple packages so they can choose from.
I do, and then usually, from what I've learned, it's usually 3. They end up always going for the middle if you know how to set it right.
Thank you.
Thanks, George.
Any other questions here as we wrap up this portion? Alex, you have a question?
I've seen photo booths at regular house parties.
Yes.
Yeah. How do you?
I do that. Just like this, the same setup. I usually tell the client, set me up between a 7x7 space, 8x8 if I can. I can put the photo booth by itself standing. I use the table there because it kind of limits on the space. But if not, I can set the table on the side and the photo booth has extra poles. I do kids parties, so the photo booth could be that small at a small party. And it's all about the kids, so the parents could always duck down. You're not going to make the kids grow, right? But yes, you could do this at house parties, and you could, make some good money.
So as we wrap up this portion, a couple different things. First of all, thank you for your candidness.
Thank you for
wonderful.
allowing me.
Everybody put their hands together. For Alex, I want to remind everybody to visit omgmiamibooth.com. We're going to be posting, by the way, all these vendors on our webpage, and you'll see all this information, so don't feel you have to write it down now. Alex is going to be here for a while, so is the photo booth. You can take pictures after our presenters finish presenting. Any other things that you'd like to say here, Alex, as we wrap up?
No, I think we're good. This is a good crowd.
All right, thank you very much. Appreciate
it.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
There's times in your life where you've been waiting to do something and you just didn't know you were going to have the opportunity to do this. And there's a gentleman on the internet I've been following for years. He is a tremendous interviewer. But today, the shoe's on the other foot. I'm going to get to interview the master interviewer and videographer himself, Mr. AJ Falcon. We've asked AJ to come on down.
You're too kind, really. Give it up for Alex. No, you've been doing a very masterful job as moderator. Come on. Props to Alex. Thank you very much.
That's right. You remember that thing that nobody knew, that we didn't have anything planned because nobody knows except you?
Yes. Oh, yeah, the headphone thing, yeah. Kind of download that, yeah.
So we've
I'm
asked
going to saw it in half and give George half, and we'll rig something up so you can use it as just a one-side thing.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
So we've asked AJ if he would share a little bit of some of his, stories, experience, leadership as being a DJ, being in this industry for quite a bit. They say long, they said quite a bit.
Quite a bit.
And if you would just give us a little bit of color. I know you've been prepared, so the floor is yours, sir.
Yeah, and I'm going to be focusing mainly, first of all, welcome everyone. Thank you for coming out, and thank you for having me speak here. What I really wanted to address was leadership as a DJ, because it is a very important aspect of what you do as a mobile DJ, much less in a club setting, you still have to get along with the people you work with in the club, the management, staff, all that. But in a mobile setting, it's super important that one of the different hats that you wear is the hat of a leader. And I'm going to get into like why. Okay, first of all, a little bit about my background. 30 plus years as both a mobile and club DJ. 10 plus years of radio broadcast and mix show experience on Y100 of Sol 95, Mia 92 and others. I've also had corporate experience in sales, finance, and insurance, and a BBA in international marketing. I'm not saying that to gloat. I just like to present my background and anything that I think is relevant. And actually, along with that, I'm always still learning. I'm not Mr. Know-It-All. I'm very humble, very open to learning other things from everyone here. You guys that know me personally, you know that's how I am. So I'll be discussing today the why, what, how, where, and when of leadership as it relates to a mobile DJ. Why discuss the DJ as a leader? Why? Anybody? Why is it important? What else? Why else? Leo. Exactly. And I would invite more interaction, but I'm also thinking Scorpio is coming, Eddie Scorpio after me, so he's got some important stuff to talk about, so I'm going to move it quicker. So, as you mentioned, it is a key person. A DJ is a key person in coordinating with planners, vendors, venue, client, and communicating formalities to all of those that are participating. People look to you. They mentioned some of these things earlier in the evening. People look to you for answers, direction. So always be informed, have answers, or if you don't know the answers, ask if you're in doubt to know the answers to key things. Another reason, as Tupac would say, all eyes on me. You're often the GOAT if something doesn't go right. Who are they going to look at? So you want to make sure you're tight and that you're, on point. And I've often noticed a lack of leadership or direction in events. I don't like to work like that. I like to work organized, structured. People know what's going, what's coming up. It ensures a successful outcome of the event. And Mayra, there's some coordinators or planners that don't fully understand our part of the festivities. Or they may sometimes, I'm not saying you, but sometimes they give you incorrect or inaccurate information. And also, sometimes you're subcontracted by a company. The company didn't give you key details. Sometimes because they got crossed with so many events that they have going on, there may have been a late email the day before the event saying, we changed our first dance. And if you don't ask about it up front, again, guess who looks bad? So you want to be on top of all these details. And that's another reason why we are discussing DJ as a leader. It's a key quality of a better mobile DJ. Clients, vendors, venue, and others are going to respect, refer, review you better if you handle this quality of being a leader properly and tactfully. It's not about like cocky or on some kind of power trip. It's just the reason you lead is to have some kind of idea of the structure and flow of things to ensure a successful outcome of the gig. And it also nicely establishes you as the captain of the ship or plane for the next few hours. You have this motto, we are in control for the SFDJA. Guess what? We are in control. When you're a DJ, you are in control. You better be in control of the vibe, the atmosphere, the formalities. You are in control, so something to keep in mind. And it is one of the different hats that we need to wear: music programmer, communicator, organizer, coordinator. So what is a leader? Very simple definition is a person who leads. It can get a lot more complicated than that, and there's many different leadership styles and leadership qualities. But some of the key qualities, in my humble opinion: tactfully getting others to follow your lead, that you're detail-oriented, organized, able to improvise, important that you're able to instill teamwork with other people that are there. It's not all about you, it's about a whole team to make an event successful. So also that you listen to what people are saying. Make sure you listen to what they're saying. Deliver the client's dream and vision. Communication, super important. Communicate with other people what you're going to do. You got a formality coming up. Make sure the photographers know. The coordinator, are they ready for this? Are they ready for that? You're communicating all the time. So sensitivity as well to other people, passion, enthusiasm, guts, confidence. A lot of times you get to a room, you're in front of anywhere as few as 50 to 500 or more strangers. You have to win. You have to get them to like you, to inspire confidence in them. Makes your job a lot easier later on when you start playing the dance music. If you've developed some kind of a rapport and you sort of got them in the palm of your hand nicely, you're golden. You're good to go. So also duplication, a key that I learned, concept that I learned in international marketing, duplicating yourself, your own qualities, what made you successful into other people. If you have people that are helping you out in the event, subcontractors or employees, try to duplicate what made you successful into them. And obviously everyone has to work within their own skill set and or improve them. There's certain natural born leaders, certain natural born, inborn skills. Some can be learned or improved. Everyone's leadership style is different, but you should develop some type of leadership mentality. Like, I got this, like they're gonna do what I want. In a nice way. So how do you lead at gigs? Speak clearly, understandably, language preference. English, Espanol. If you are fortunate to be bilingual and you're dealing with Latino people, they're often going to respond better to you if you speak in Spanish. If not, you got to work around it, no big deal. The initial greeting that you have with people, introduce yourself very friendly, confident, charming. You only have one chance to make a first impression. Make that first impression count. If it's all possible. I know sometimes you get, one of the worst culprits too. You get a little stressed out setting up, you're in a hurry. The setup was a pain in the butt, a lot of cars in the loading dock, and but you got to try to put yourself in character to make a good first impression, handshake, eye contact, because you only have that one chance. This is important. Mutual sizing up. You have to size up the people you're working with, the degree to which this person is confident, competent, qualified, their personality type, and adjust. If it's a personality that's very happy and outgoing, well, you can be that way. If there's someone that's kind of serious, you might want to tone it down a little bit, Adjust to who you're dealing with and what else may be going around. So I say adjusting like a chameleon to the other's personality type. Discussing what's important to the client, the planner, the point persons. And if you're not sure, probe, ask questions like, okay, let me see if I get this right. So this and this and this is what we're doing. Like, if you're not sure, make sure that you get it right. Then, with employees and subs, be a good, accurate, thorough communicator and treat them with respect, keeping it upbeat to create the synergy of an even better vibe. Again, duplication, so be cool with everybody. With clients, make sure you're aware of the key details and communicate them so everyone's on the same page. That could be something as simple as in a grand entrance at a wedding. Sometimes even when there's a coordinator, no one discussed with them where are they standing when they make the entrance. Where do you want everyone to stand? I have probably less than half of the time, maybe only 25% of the time, that they haven't even discussed what they're doing when they make their grand entrance. So you need to lead. You need to instruct them. You need to determine that. So also, where to lead. Excuse me. We're good. With a planner versus without a planner. We don't always have the luxury of having a planner. Guess who's got to step up? Take the bull by the horns nicely, diplomatically, and you have to step up and lead when there's no planner. That's part of what a better DJ does. Not just the guy to spin music. And you could talk to people in your presentation when you're trying to convince them why they should book you. Well, we do all this. If you get a Craigslist guy for $150 or a Pepito's DJ service, good luck, Yes, an important part of the thing, coordinating with the caterer and all the other vendors that are there.
Well, if the planner's not there,
Yes.
you can coordinate with the caterer.
Right, instilling a sense of teamwork and getting the captain, the banquet captain on your side. Oh, we're bringing out dinner when? Or the captain might say, oh, the food's getting cold, you know, can you move things along, whatever, like, yeah, a lot of things you gotta think on your feet, you know. Then there's different types of planners, you know, the degree of analness of either the client or the planner, and their proficiency, experience, personality, politics. Sometimes you get these, a do what she says no matter what scenario. Someone hired you or you're subcontracted, no, do what she says no matter what. Versus a more laid back leadership. You identify also alternate point persons if there is no planner, like you said, like a captain, if it's a corporate gig. Who do you want me to take direction from? Who are the people here that I should take direction from? You identified them in an interview ahead of time that some were talking before. Then briefly, in corporate gigs, as many of you guys know, and I apologize if I'm telling you things that you already know, but it could help reinforce what you already know, as it does for me. Like in a corporate gig, music is often not the most important thing. It could be employee recognition or awards. Corporation, whether they're for-profit or non-profit, they're good at what they do, but they're not so good at throwing a party, has been my experience. Who's got to lead? In a nice way. Because they may perceive you, oh, this DJ is going to tell me what to do, we just hired him. So you have to sort of know how to finesse it and take control in a nice way and tell them, okay, this is what we're going to do. You have to find that balance in the absence of a planner. Ask for cues, that's a big one. They did all their awards, all their raffles. Yeah, they did all their awards, all their raffles, but they didn't tell you. Make sure you know what's the very last thing you're going to say at the end, because they're just going to say, no, here's AJ. And you have to be ready to know what's leading up to that, what's just before that. So, pre-gig, determine who's the key personnel. We already discussed that briefly. Day of, you introduce yourself to all those people in advance, striving for a confident first impression. Before, keep formalities. Be sure you give the vendors the heads up. Cues, that's a big one of being a leader. You're telling the photographer, whoever else, okay, we're going to do this. You're communicating. You're leading. You're a point person. And this is a big one that we all have been through. Overtime. It's getting near the end of the party. Try to find out in the beginning of the event what's going to be their policy. Does it have to end at 12 exactly? 12:05, 12:10? If the people are having a good time, what's the policy to extend it? Do we have to tell you by 11 p.m., 11:15, because you have to run their credit card, whatever, so that you know if they're having a good time and they want to extend it, you know exactly what to do. And you make your adjustments accordingly. You don't keep pumping. If you know you got to stop in 5 or 10 minutes, maybe, you know, a gradual winding down. All right, so basically we covered the why, what, how, where, when of the mobile DJ as a leader. Any questions, comments? I know we got Scorpio lined up, ready to go. The man who's always funky. I had the pleasure of working with him recently. So my contact info and cell, easy, DJ AJ Falcon. Use the dots, D.J.A.J. Falcon on Facebook for my business one, and personal is just AJ Falcon, no dots. And again, I hope that my talking to you today helped you step up your game and adopt some kind of a leadership personality style. Make it your own, because you're going to differentiate yourself from just Pepito DJ or Craigslist DJ, because leadership is very important, as we discussed. And you'll enjoy even more success if you could differentiate yourself from the competition. So with that said, thank you very much for your time. Scorpio!
All right, ladies and gentlemen, one more hand for Mr. AJ Falcon.
Thank you.
That's right.
Thank you. You're too kind.
All right,
Thank
if
you.
you wouldn't mind putting that headset on.
Yep.
Our next speaker. All right, this is our last speaker of the evening, ladies and gentlemen. Hopefully today's event's been very, very good for you. We think it's been great. Thank you for the interaction as we kind of get ready for our next speakers. And a couple of reminders, don't forget. Don't forget as well to visit Alex here in the photo booth before you do leave. And with that said, at this moment, it's my
absolute pleasure to introduce DJ Scorpio. Floor's yours.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Guys, real quick, I want to thank everybody for having me here. I'm pretty new to the group as far as speaking aloud. I've been part of the group since they first opened. I'm part of a few groups. A lot of you guys may or may not know me, so I'm going to give you a little bit of background. I started DJing when I was 12 years old. My father was into it. I started on two Technique 1200s, Hank mixer, some custom-built speakers, Radio Shack mixer. I'm sure a lot of you guys know what I'm talking about. Diamond needles that you got from Radio Shack. So that's how I started. I had to get a milk crate just to stand up to get on top of the booth. We had a lot of guys that come and lug it in, and we were getting paid minimal bucks to go ahead and do all those things and carry crates. I'm 30 years old now. I know I look a little younger than some of you guys are used to hearing somebody speak, but I'll tell you a little bit about how I got started in the industry. I used to look up to guys like Tony. I used to look up to guys like DJ Laz, et cetera, in the Miami music area. From there, I started with a truck and a trailer. I built my little empire up slowly. I now own Sound Level Events and Productions. We do everything from major event lighting to concerts, and we tour around the world. So as far as DJing is concerned, I've done everything from bar mitzvahs, bat mitzvahs, quinces, sweet 16s, clubs. Tony's seen me. I've done radio. I was on Power 96. I've done WEPA like a lot of you guys have done. And I've toured around the world DJing, including Ultra and a few other major EDC brands. So with that being said, I'm going to tell you how I went from the ordinary DBA DJ, which is doing business as, and then making myself into a corporation pretty much overnight and working my way up, and how you guys can actually grow in this industry. I know right now there's been millions of talk on the forums, on everything about, man, these DJs are charging $200 for 5 hours, and they're bringing a photo booth, and they have all these things, and they're showing up, and they're doing a set, and they're getting a million parties. Honestly, guys, if you're worried about that, this next segment is not for you. This next segment is really how to grow your industry. So how many of you would like to grow your industry as you stand right now? I mean, it should be all of your hands up right now. I mean, really, honestly, if you want to grow in this industry, if this is something that you're doing just on the side, you can still make a ton of money, okay? I went from doing $400 events to doing 10, 15, 30, 50, $100,000 events, okay? And I'm only 30 years old. There's no reason that all of you guys can be doing it. First thing is equipment rentals. How many of you go out and buy gear all the time? And you see like the most newest thing, matter of fact, the K2s just came out. Oh my God, I gotta see them. They're 2,000 watts. They're amazing. I gotta hear them. I gotta go see them. I gotta look at them. My K12s are no longer the thing. I gotta get the newest one. Well, sometimes it's not beneficial for you to spend that money when you can rent the gear. There's many companies out there. Myself, I know Tony does, Word of Sound. There's many, many companies that can get you to where you want to be, to where you don't have to spend the money right away. Build the clientele, build the contacts, and then work your way up. The best way that you can build your industry is first get your clients. If you don't have a client for it, then why are you buying the gear? If you have an event that comes up and you need 3 microphones, but it's the only event that you've done in the last year that you needed 3 microphones, why are you going to go buy 2 more? It does not make sense. So being smart and learning the industry of the business aspect is how you're going to grow. The only way you're going to grow in this industry is by learning. If you don't know anything about lighting, if you know zero about lighting, the minute that guy is setting up that lighting for you, you should be behind him shadowing, learning how to DMX, learning what software to use, Light Jockey, Show Express, whatever. If he's using a Roadhog, how to DMX program it, wireless, what am I going to do, okay? So in that aspect as well, audio. I mean, we've all seen audio, we've all heard it. We're like, man, it sounds so good, but are you buying the right audio? Are you really buying a speaker that's catered to you? 99% of the time, I see DJs lugging around 2 subwoofers and 2 tops and a facade, a DJ booth, and they're doing it for a certain package price, okay? Your price is your prerogative. That's up to you. But what you need to consider is, A, how much did that gear cost me? How much am I going to get back on my investment? And how long is it going to last me? So if you buy a certain amount of gear, right? You buy one item, you should be able to rent it out, gig it out 10 times and make your money back. It's the 10%. Does anybody know about that? Anybody? Tony. All right. So if you're not making your money back within 10 rentals, then you shouldn't be doing it. You shouldn't be buying that gear. You haven't reached that level yet. Okay? That's how I made it into this. This is something that a lot of guys have asked me, man, you have a business background or something? I recently just got my degree in business. Just recently. I've been doing it. I started off as a party rental company. I worked with my dad doing it. And then from there, I built my own way. I've never, ever used a credit card, got capital, pulled out a loan, or anything for any of the gear that I got. I did everything cash for the longest time. Now that I'm in the big boy league, now is when I'm starting to, okay, I need more capital. I got to figure out a way to get to the things that I need. I'm buying $100,000 L acoustics, DB systems, etc., etc. I need to get to that next level. This is where I need to get that capital, get somebody behind me, or help me out, okay? But as you're building, you guys think, well, as a DJ, how am I going to do it if Fulano and Hialeah is doing it for $50? Okay? Don't worry about Fulano from Hialeah. In 5 years, he will not make it. Okay? And if he does, he's just doing it on the side, and it's not a client you want. Trust me on this. Okay? This is why you need to concentrate on, if I'm lugging around this gear that cost me 10 grand, how much should I be renting it out or giving it for, and how much am I worth? If I were to go and lose my job today, how much am I worth in the industry right now? Where can I go get a job, and how much am I going to be worth? 99% of the industry right now is between $15 to $25 an hour. So if you're charging over that, you better be worth it. Because at the other percentage should be towards your gear and advancing that gear. Because once you pay it off, now you need to make enough money to duplicate that to go ahead and buy your next set of gear. Or if that gear goes down, you're able to fix it. Does everybody understand the concept? Anybody confused? Am I losing anybody? You guys can speak up, I promise. It's question and answer, I promise. This is for everybody to ask questions and get ahead in the industry. This was not tailored for me to just speak and come down. So I want you guys to join me in this. Marketing, how many of you market? What are you marketing? Websites, marketing, where?